Mike, can you start? Yeah, Mike, you just talk about your defense today. Do you think they set the tone for what happened out there?
Yes, definitely. I mean, defense definitely set the tone early with the takeaways, and I think clearly when you talk about the fundamentals, stressing the fundamentals, and we know where we are as far as the turnover differential going into the game, and when you see the takeaways are done on second reaction, second effort type plays, and that's how they usually come. They come in bunches, so that was huge for us. +3. Winning the turnover battle was clearly a big part of our victory today. But I think on a number of fronts, it was a very gratifying victory because of just the number of things that went on during the game on the sidelines, particularly on defense. I mean, defense stepped up time and time again, not only with the 3 takeaways, but with the big 4th down stop. And we had a number of guys going in and out of the game, particularly with our secondary. I thought our young corners battled, went in and out, and I thought our veteran players handled the transition of that those situations, and so very gratifying win for us.
Mike, how gratifying was it for Andy, you think, to win this one?
Oh, definitely. I mean, this is definitely special for him, and make no bones about it. He wanted to win this game, and more importantly, everybody in this locker room wanted to win it for him. And we presented him the game ball afterwards, and if you could just see in the locker room, just the reaction of when he came into the locker room after the game, I think it speaks volumes about the men in the locker room, and what this win means for us as a team because of where we are in our season, but how important it was to get that win today for Andy.
Mike, how important was it too? You were talking about effort earlier this week in that Baltimore game. They seemed to come out and take that personally, if you will, and play with a lot of effort this evening. Was that something you wanted and needed to see?
Well, I mean, frankly, we answered those questions about the Baltimore game, and frankly, my emphasis, which is really kind of falls into where you are in every season. There's always fundamentals. There's always things you want to emphasize, and we just really emphasize the finish of every play. Particularly in the run defense, because we knew with our corners and the respect that we had for their perimeter, we were going to maybe be playing light sometimes in the box, and I thought our defensive front answered the bell there. So sometimes you give up a little more in the run than you would like, but I thought our guys did a heck of a job. So the finish, I think you see it in all three phases. You can see it in the return game, especially the finishing on the blocks, and with Tony, and what a great return he had, and the run offense. And so I mean, that was really our emphasis, and I think it's like any good football team. You learn from the mistakes, and you focus on some aspect of the fundamentals you need to improve on it, and that's no different. And so we'll have a chance to really finally get into a normal 7-day week, which we haven't had in quite some time. So we took a step today as a football team. So it was obviously a fun locker room, and definitely a win that we needed.
With effort and really the fire and desire from this Cowboys team being a huge topic of conversation around the Star this week, guys, do you feel like you saw more effort and more drive from these players in what we saw on the field today?
Absolutely. It was a totally different team in terms of energy, in terms of effort. But, like he mentioned and he alluded to, the defense kicked it off, right? When you had those turnovers, whether it was the butt fumble or whether it was the hit, from the secondary on a receiver, it doesn't matter. Those guys came in, they were playing with a whole different type of vibe.
I just think when you keep it simple like they did, the coverages were simple, guys lined up, they made the adjustments, and yes, Cincinnati wasn't like most teams that play us with a whole lot of motion or a whole lot of movement. They believed in their 2 outside guys along with A.J. Green that they could make enough things happen, but what they didn't anticipate on was Bernard fumbling, for Williams to fumble, for the wide receiver to fumble. When you have those things going in your favor as a defense, it keeps you motivated. It keeps you going. As we saw in earlier games, our defense got beat down. But this week here, they brought the hammer. Like my man Barry Church, say a striker. I don't know where you get it from. I think it's a soccer term, but they had a striker today. So hey, I'm excited.
You're right, Vic. They were definitely striking out there. There was definitely some juice infused to the defense out there.
And like you said, Isaiah, it started with the turnovers. It started with D-Law going in there and punching the ball out. It happened with the butt fumble with the offensive lineman getting pushed back into the running back, and just so on and so forth. And this defense fed off of that. They fed off of that energy. And as you saw out there, as the game wore on, like you said, Nate, usually we would kind of see the Cowboys kind of getting pushed back, the line getting pushed back further and further and further. But this game, it was the exact opposite. You saw more and more people getting to the ball, linebackers, secondary players, defensive line. They were gang tackling.
Number 4 of the season. Welcome back in to Cowboys OT here from the Star in Frisco. Kyle Yeomans alongside Isaiah Stanback, Nate Newton, and Barry Church. And guys, let's talk about that offense, because it was kind of a weird game. They only had the ball for 25 minutes, and that even seemed like a lot in the final scheme of things, just based off of how little they really had the football early on. But whenever they had it, they were able to take advantage. Just once again, couldn't necessarily finish drives as much as you really wanted them to.
Yeah, we still have to improve upon the finishing of drives. We're still relying on zero line back there too much to come out there and get us 3 points instead of the 7 that we should be walking away with. But overall, Andy Dalton did a great job managing this team. Offensive line gave him opportunity to sit back and throw the ball. We talked about how important that was going to be going into this game, and they gave him that time. He was able to find his receivers. His receivers caught the ball. They made plays. They moved the chains. But moving the ball on the ground, still a sore spot. So we got some work to do there. But overall, good job offense.
Yeah, and that's where it comes down to a veteran offensive line. Even though Coach Philbin, I think, has done a great job, when you get into that red zone, you have to, everything's happened so fast. And as an offensive line, I think they're a little nervous. So it's either there for Andy or it's not. And we kind of pressing that thing with Zeke. Believe me, I like to run. We get in that red zone inside the 5, punch it up in there. But you know what? That play action pass has to become a big thing. And that's where we're lacking at. That play action pass, let Andy come back and find a receiver. We got the receivers, but we just got to have the belief that they can get that ball in there to them.
Yeah. Overall, I feel like this offense played one of its better games. Like I mentioned earlier, I think Andy Dalton played stupendous this game. His ball placement was amazing throughout the whole game. And it was just not the ball placement, but he distributed to everybody out there. I mean, he was getting his tight ends involved. He got all 3 of those receivers involved. And sometimes he got the guys coming out of the backfield involved as well. So he kept everybody energy level high. He kept everybody into the game. And he just played an all-around great game. Now, with the offensive line, I think they did a great job protecting him like they did last week in Baltimore. But they just got to get a little bit better in that run game. They got to get more aggressive when going after these D linemen. Put them on their back. Because use some of that aggression to go put them on their back and let Zeke get out there and get going. But overall, I think the offense played pretty well.
Zeke finishes with 12 carries for 48 yards in this one. There you see just 101 total rushing yards, as Pollard wasn't too far behind Ezekiel Elliott with 11 for 38. But whenever it comes to first downs, Andy Dalton was able to kind of manage the game early on. They didn't turn over the football, and it was really kind of that